Hi, I'm Natalia Bilbao, and this is LA Currents. Los Angeles is a melting pot of different cultures, traditions, languages. Every building, every street corner has many stories worth telling. That is why 24 years ago, Deanna Malloy founded the Angels Walk Project. And today we're going to talk about its newest walk along Central Avenue. For that, we have Tracy Lane, co-director of the team, and council member from District 9, Curren Price. Thank you so much for being here. So Tracy, tell our viewers, what is Angels Walk about?
Well, as you mentioned, it's 24 years ago. So next year we'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary. We've been around for quite some time. And the mission's very simple. The mission is to celebrate the history of LA and its neighborhoods with self-guided urban walking trails.
Wonderful. Council member, your district has been very involved in this project as well.
Absolutely. You know, it certainly is consistent with our philosophy of economic development, encouraging the arts and working collaboratively with citizens and businesses. And this is the kind of project that really gives us a chance to highlight some of the history and legacy of Central Avenue.
So how do you think it's going to impact your district specifically, this
Well, I think
Central Avenue
I think
walk?
it's going to be very positive. In fact, there's already a renaissance going on along Central Avenue. We're making a number of public sector improvements, streets and sidewalks. We've initiated a new business improvement district on Central Avenue between Olympic and Vernon. And as I said, have really worked to try to encourage and support local businesses as we move forward. And so this is going to be consistent with that, shining a real spotlight, not just on South LA, but on Central Avenue specifically, highlighting the cultural, highlighting the history, and the activities for the future.
I was going to close with this question for both of you. What do you hope the younger generations will learn from this specific walk?
I can speak as having grown up here in LA. You tend to just know what's around you, and you have a sense that there's much more of a city out there, but you don't know much about it. And so I think Angels Walk really just provides kind of a grounding in the city, also can really build like a sense of pride in Los Angeles. And I think even though the walks are designed to appeal to, let's say, visitors or tourists, we really see them as being for the community. You know, to know what took place on these streets and how our neighborhood got to where it is today, its flavor, its culture, its people, its businesses, its kind of evolution, I think just gives you more of a connection to your neighborhood and to your neighbors.
Projects like this are so important to educate and inform because it does illuminate what happened in the past and helps people understand what's going on and what can happen in the future. It makes folks proud, it makes them very aware, and I think very sensitive to obstacles but also opportunities. And so Angels Walk provides us with a chance to do just that.
Council member, you were born and raised in District 9, which is the home of this new Central Avenue walk. What are the changes that you've seen, since you were a kid until, nowadays?
Well, certainly one of the exciting developments we've seen is the new housing along the Central Avenue corridor. Specifically there at Jefferson and Central Avenue, we've got the Angelus Funeral Home. Formerly the funeral home has been transformed into affordable housing. And adjacent to it is going to be the Florence Mills project. And again, it's going to be 60 units of affordable housing in our community. And that project is emblazoned with a multi-story mural of Florence Mills. In fact, she performed up and down Central Avenue, was known throughout the United States as an entertainer, as an activist. And so we're real proud that this facility will be a lasting memory of her and her achievements.
Thank you so much, Tracy and Councilmember Price, for being here and talking about this new Central Avenue Angels Walk. We'll be talking now with Dr. Jefferson. We'll be right back here at LA Currents. In the first half of the show, we talked to Tracy Lane and Councilmember Price about the Angels Walk project and specifically about the Central Avenue Walk. Now we are joined by Dr. Allison Rose Jefferson. Thank you so much for being here. She's a historian, published author of Living the California Dream, African American Leisure Sites During the Jim Crow Era. You seem like a great fit to write about the Central Avenue Angels Walk. So how did you become involved with this project?
Well, I actually mentioned it to Councilman Price that it might be something that he would want to consider to have this heritage trail on his in his district on the Central Avenue corridor, and he thought it was a good idea. And when they got ready to do the project, after he thought about it a while and helped and met Angels Walk, then they called me up and asked me would I be interested to participate in helping to do the research on the project.
So let's talk about the actual stops, some of these like iconic locations, like for instance the Dunbar Hotel.
So the Dunbar Hotel actually was originally called the Somerville Hotel, and it was built in 1928 by the power couple, John and Veda Somerville. And so they built the hotel in part to accommodate the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, convention that was going to be here in 28. And so because there was no really big black hotel in Los Angeles that could accommodate all these people coming out to Los Angeles for the convention, and the big white hotels weren't allowing African Americans to stay in those hotels. They in downtown, they could go and visit, but for events, big public events, but they couldn't just go. They couldn't stay in those hotels. So the Somervilles built it, and then it changed to the Dunbar a few years later because of some financial difficulties that the Somervilles had. And then that's the era that most people remember about the Dunbar. And that's when it became the anchor of the jazz in the area. Lots of different people performed there. Cab Calloway,
Ray
Charles, Duke Ellington, Billie Holiday. We could go on. And there were some white folks who were Hollywood luminaries who used to come and hang out in the Central Avenue corridor as well, and they would go to the Dunbar and other clubs in the area.
So overall, how do you think this particular walk will benefit people's understanding of the African American experience in Southern California and specifically in Los Angeles?
One thing about the Angels Walk that I just love is the fact that it has such a diversity of stories about the people and of some events and the architecture of the area. And I think that for the residents of the area, it's an inspiration to see all the different things that went on in this neighborhood, and that it can help them to have pride in their neighborhood. And then for other people who don't live in the neighborhood, it's an opportunity for them to learn about another section of their city by taking this Angels Walk on Central Avenue, as well as going on other Angels Walks. And for people coming from out of town who want to learn about Los Angeles history and they've heard about the Central Avenue corridor, this is a way for them to have an easy introduction to the history of the area by taking this 3-mile walk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jefferson, for joining us and sharing all this wonderful knowledge and stories about the Central Avenue Angels Walk. Thank you for watching. This was LA Currents. I'm Natalia Bilbao.